Okay, so the last video, unfortunately, I apologize. It eventually I thought maybe it will be short one, but it became like an hour and 40 minutes. I hope it's not too heavy. I know that people don't like very long videos, so I tried to make it short, but I mean it's actually became very long, and even that I mean probably one of the longest. I mean especially the longest that is not just I mean a recording of experiment, like a dull experiment, slow experiment. It was the longest I've had until now, and even though I mean. So I hope people, I mean, stay awake, I mean, for the whole time. But anyway, it was actually cut like in the middle, like out in the middle towards the end, but because my daughters called me. So but I should just say that by law, by court order, I cannot call them. They can only call me. So I mean, when they call me, I must answer, of course. So anyway, I will finish this video very shortly now. Like what I was spoken about in the previous one, very long one, and we are still left with another video which is more physical and historical. More physical and historical, and that in which I will elaborate on like the claims that I claimed in the previous video. Even though it should be said again that I mean there are a ton of evidence, and these things are mostly I mean things that were already discussed in this channel. So I mean you can just I mean make the effort to I mean watch the relevant series. I'm not sure what I'll do today, unless actually I mean you know that question is depends like on the audience. Like are you like satisfied with the I mean just I mean the claims, or you actually like it's important like I mean like the physical and historical elaboration, because I also want like to use the energy that I have for tonight to continue with my paintings. To continue with the painting, I have several things to do, like the full metal jacket, like it requires several versions, and like the isotope, like another version of the isotopes, and also I mean very important another depiction of the solar system, which will be equivalent, but I mean we need another one. I mean also for artistic reasons, but that are also important. So, but if it's important, I can make the effort try to I mean like do the elaboration video, like the more physical and historical and specifically physical one later today. So just to say that I mean the same kind of material that was sold for starting the 80s to sold abroad, which was a mixture of the red Neros and radioactive isotopes, was actually this is the same kind of material that was and used for a long time, like in the past, like I mean to keep like the agents, like I mean because Israel, I mean, and I elaborated on that I mean since long. I mean it's not too time to discuss it, because this series I mean discusses the issue of utility scale in energy. But I should mention that I mean long before the 80s, Israelis like sold these kind of like robots, like I mean abroad, to act as companions to all politicians and people in the intelligence security like systems of the world, because they were it was not only in Israel that they are traditionally homosexuals and pedophiles. I mean it was like that all over. I mean especially in the West, of course, but not only in the West. And they also amusingly sold like robots to the Arab world, which I mean at the same time that they presumably were in great conflict with the Arab world. I mean just to say that I mean money is like above everything. So yeah, I mean that's the way it is. I mean if you were like I mean a Titan female, like I mean that like live in an Arab country, and I mean and maybe like I mean you find yourself like I mean with deleted memory, and you don't know what happened, and maybe no one else like told you, like maybe it happened like very recently, or I don't know how long you've been in coma, or maybe it happened like 30 years ago. But during all this time, I mean no one tell you I mean how you actually got there, or maybe no one knows because it was kept like a secret, and I mean and maybe your husband just I mean died, like I mean, or like I mean because of the radiation, because I mean, yeah, Muslims don't, I mean, presumably don't do drugs, but sometimes they do. So, just to say, I mean, they also, I mean, anyway, and you wonder how you got there. So, and you ask yourself, maybe I was like an Israeli spy or something like that. So, the answer is yes, but you actually, it was you were transferred to whatever Arab state like you find yourself in, the same way that others like you were transferred to the United States or to Europe, which means that you were sold as commodity, because the Arab nations also had, like, I mean, their own pedophiles and homosexuals, sometimes high ranking, and they also wanted, like, I mean, they was charmed by the idea of like having like a wife that is presumably a robot that is completely submissive to the will, but I mean does not want to have sex, because it must not, I mean, it's very extremely dangerous, sex between like Venusians and female Venusians and male Homo sapiens. And of course, so it was great for them, because they either was homosexuals and had sex, I mean, whatever, I mean, I don't want to imply anything, but or maybe they were, like in the West, pedophiles that, I mean, were under treatment without any libido. That way or the other, I mean, these people didn't want to have sex with women, and so they also bought like robots from Israel. I don't know exactly how it happened, but it should be said that, I mean, the Arab world always maintained relationship with Israel, I mean, behind the curtain. It was not, it was always like that. And on the same time, they also, I mean, started wars with them from time to time. It was like, I mean, in the Middle East, it's like, I mean, everybody's cousins, you know. I mean, so it's all one big family, and like in, you know, like in kind of, so yes, I mean, they share wives. I mean, like, they sell robots, they fight each other, like, they kill each other. One big happy family. I'm not saying that the Arabs are as guilty as the Israelis. Of course not. I mean, we shouldn't be, like, I mean, close our eyes to the fact that there is difference, like, between, like, I mean, different level of guilt. But yes, more the Israelis are the worst by far. But the Arabs also, I mean, they didn't have problem like maintaining relationships with Israel. Sometimes in parallel of wars that they had with them at the same time. That's the way it is. I mean, that's the way it was. So you, wherever you are, whatever you are, if you are like you live in an Arab like state and you don't know how you find yourself in there, so you were Israeli that was sold to them. But as always, the Israelis, as they did with all the robots, they didn't like really relinquish authority over them. They always maintained some kind of like control over them, and they used them as spies. And either this was compromised by some like unfortunate event, or you yourself like disobeyed, like, I mean, the orders of your Israeli operators. So they deleted you. Yeah, I mean, the fun of the 20th century. I mean, life, and they say, you know, the life on Earth in the 20th century. It's kind of like, I mean, the 20th century was really, I mean, you know, very very flavorful historical time for Earth, with many peculiar kind of like, I mean, very special like new traditions. And one of it is, as I said, like the brainwashing that was become very common. I mean, not only for Titans, like all around the world, like for humans, mostly for Homo sapiens. Like millions suffered from this, like you know, in the great, you know, in the best places, you know, like you know, Nazi Germany, you know, and Soviet Russia, and you know, the good places. Anyway, so one way to maintain control is to give them the stuff, presumably under the pretense that they need it. But they still give it. I mean, maybe up to today, I don't know. They sell this stuff abroad for Titan females abroad, and presumably they think, I don't know. This is so ridiculous, but I mean, it's unbelievably stupid. So many people think that, I mean, that the Titan females are like I don't know, like, I mean, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, like presumably Barbara from the Silicon Valley, or Fatima from Cairo, They're like, I mean, the H.W. Bush or the Ronald Reagan, like the super carriers that they require like atomic energy in order to operate. This is unbelievably stupid. What happened is that these materials were incredibly harmful to your health. You should not eat radioactive stuff. By the way, some life forms can eat radioactive stuff. It's not unheard of, but there are tons of life forms. I mean, the diversity of life is incredible, and yeah, I mean, there are some. I mean, you will not believe that what kind of life form exists. I mean, you will not believe what kind of life forms exist that were actually documented in this channel with tremendous amount of evidence. Like the stuff, many of them are in this room in various containers. Amazing life forms made of material that you cannot even like imagine. Completely different. I mean, life is an amazing phenomenon. Like I mean, and much tremendously more diverse and wider than the tiny diversity that exists on Earth. And I know that it sounds funny because it's usual to think that like that Earth, like the life on Earth is like I mean is unbelievably diverse. Like I mean, so many like millions of species, and many are not yet even categorized. But I mean, yes, it's true, and at the same time, it is amazingly diverse, and at the same time, it's just a tiny fraction of the entire diversity that exists. Because it's, I mean, because humans, I mean, they think that, I mean, their own planet must be the only place where actually life can exist, and if there is other life in other planets, that these planets must be almost identical to Earth, which is completely false. I mean, it's untrue by evidence, and it's theoretically completely like stupid, like and egotistical, like I mean egocentric. So you can ask, so why why life on Earth is I mean as diverse as it is, I mean it shares so much similarities, like I mean that it's carbon based and all sorts of other stuff, and you know, and the prominence of H2O is solving like I mean material. So the answer is that they are in relation to each other. I mean, they eat each other. They sometimes, I mean, you know, they eat. I mean, they are in I mean, existence. So it will be. I mean, if completely different kind of like a life forms would like live together. I mean, it would. I mean, I don't even understand how it can happen. Like I mean, like without one completely crushing the other. Like I mean, because. I mean, how can you even like a food chain can be maintained when they eat different stuff, and I mean, and they require different like I mean material. I maybe it can happen. I don't have enough information, and I think that people didn't even think about it enough. Like I mean, if you want to think about it like from theoretical perspective, you can do it. I mean, I've not done it myself, and it's quite complicated. Like I mean, to think. I mean, like that's like I mean, of course. I mean, if they require different temperature or different pressure, then of course, I mean, by definition, they cannot. I mean, all the ones that are in Earth, I mean, should be like adjusted to Earth. Like I mean, there are too many questions here. But I mean, it's an empirical fact that was proven again and again and again. Like the diversity of life is huge, and they can exist in tremendously different like conditions on Earth, and made of material that are completely different than materials that you are used to, and can be born in crucible, like in unbelievably high temperature, and sustain like all sorts of like ridiculous conditions. So yes, some life forms can actually eat radioactive isotopes. Like I mean, yeah, I mean, they will happily like I mean like eat like stuff from like from what have been your radioactive mining mines, and probably later they would happily to they say like in Hebrew lekaneach. Like I mean, I don't know if there is like a verb. There aren't that many words in Hebrew. Like it's kind of like a poor language. Like I mean, with regards to its vocabulary, because it's so ancient and wasn't in use. But I mean, one thing that the Hebrew excels it, and probably not only Hebrew but also other Semitic languages, is like in creating verbs, like I mean from nothing, like I mean just I mean like and just I mean inventing verbs like on demand, like I mean, so there is kind of like a verb that's called lekaneach. I don't know if they have this kind of what's the parallel word in English, but it means like I mean to have dessert. like I mean the action of like having a dessert. So they would, I mean, if you've got, I mean, even though I mean the main course would probably be uranium and plutonium. I mean, it doesn't mean that they would not be happy to like I mean to have dessert. Like I mean if you have some like wheat and potatoes, maize. I mean things like that. I mean if you have some left, I mean they would happily have the dessert. Yes, they exist, but this is not true for Titans. Titans do not eat radioactive material. No, just no. That is the cause of the problem. I mean, what like temporarily, I mean, heals them are the red Neros. Now it's best for them not to actually get the red Neros because this situation is open. It's unnatural and it opens them to a variety of new a variety of possibilities of other illnesses that I described in other videos. This is, to some extent, this is like blood transfusion. Like, because these red Neros were created most probably in the body of another female. And there is all sorts of problems like with this kind of, with it. Like, but of course, I mean, if you're going to die from the radioactive decay, and this is the only solution, I mean, I understand why you eat whatever is like pushed to you. But in general, you shouldn't eat certain. But I mean, but the problem is that the medicine contains the toxin, and so later, I mean, you need more of that. The same material that is sold to you as the medicine also, I mean, keep the toxic state forever. So you shouldn't take the radioactive material, and I would argue that the red Neros, even if you would had a way to get them isolated, it's not the best thing for you. It's actually opens like a whole new kind of like a horizon of possibilities for diseases. What actually is the thing that should help you is first of all time. I mean, time without being eating the radioactive material. I mean, time without being done that you are not getting the poison. And on a quicker way, in a quicker kind of like a thing that will help you, is if your body would produce the red Neros by itself, and they will heal you, and also, I mean, will not pose a risk for you. They will be produced by your own body. But in order for that, you need to get the brown Neros, which can only be found in Venusian males. Or an alternative is the yellow Neros, which can be found in my own body, but nowhere else that is known to humans. That's why this is another reason why I kept in horrible prison and under torture for so long and under such cruelty. Because of this ability, this is not specifically related to energy, but it's another thing that the Israelis understand, and it's another I mean, the reason why they see me as asset, and of course it helps them a lot to heal themselves, because the Venusian, the Israeli Titans have a myriad of diseases by themselves. It's not that they are all healthy. They also have a ton of diseases because of several reasons that I spoke about in the past. That's another issue. But they use the yellow Nero to clean themselves. They use me as their doctor. I mean, the pharmacist. I mean, of course, without asking me, without giving me 1 shekel, and only torturing me, because it's customary in Israel to torture. I mean, the one that gives you life for free. It's kind of a traditional, local tradition in this, in the historical land of Israel. No, it's kind of what they do here. It's the way of the people. You need to respect their ways. It's very, that's how they do things. So this is generally, I mean, how you can, assuming you're a Titan female, this is how you need to be, to heal yourself. And just so we are very clear, you are not a robot that requires energy in order to live. This is ridiculous. You have, your own lifespan that I don't know how much it is, but it's certainly at least hundreds of years. Your natural lifespan is much longer than humans. But in order, I mean, for this kind of like, I mean, to live to that time, you don't need to eat a onion. That's ridiculous. You need to eat well, I mean, just healthy food and I mean, preferably vegan. But I myself, I cannot. I mean, I speak about it some other time. But I mean, I'm not like, I mean, there were times in my life that I was vegan. But I mean, lately when I'm under arrest, I admit I cannot. Like, I don't have money. I don't have like the mental, like, the capacity to. Because it's not easy for me to live vegan life. Like, I mean, it's not easy at all. But so I don't do it. But I mean, and I depend on charity and things. So I mean, it's become very difficult. But I mean, when on times in my life where I was like I had more money and like more independence. Like, I mean, and more under arrest. Yes, I try to maintain vegan lifestyle. But even if you can't do it, and I myself now cannot do it, I mean, it's best to avoid meat or beef or anything that walk on 4. And if you can avoid things that walk on 2 or walk at all, it's even better. And if you can avoid milk, it's also very, very good. But if you want, if you want to, I mean, if you can, like, only, like, I mean, you have the energy, like, or the inclination to remove one thing from your diet, I mean, let it be anything that works on 4. But mostly, I mean, I mean, the thing that is most important for your health and that will allow you to live like for, like, I mean, to your potential of hundreds of years is, I mean, if you can, and this is also true to me, even though I'm not a Titan. I mean, what would be like the most helpful for us to, like, I mean, to live long and prosper, as they say, is if we can find a way to live in a place where Israelis will not poison us, because the existence of the Israeli people, I mean, like, is their existence on the same planet where we stay is the most, like, I mean, by far the kind of, like, I mean, the most detrimental condition to our health. So it's best, like, I mean, just not to do whatever you can to live in a different planet than the planet that Israel is also living there. I mean, they are incredibly harmful to our health. That's a fact. Now, just, I mean, so let's just, I mean, the simple, as they say, the simple facts. So, I mean, most of the Titans, I mean, or at least large group, stayed in Israel. So what happened to them? They became like gradually became the ruling class of the Israeli intelligence, and they are more evil than they are the scum of the earth, and they should be, like, I mean, terminated. They are really the scum of the earth, the female Titans of Israel. I mean, you cannot exaggerate the severity of the crimes, and I spoke about it so much. It's not the time to repeat ourselves, because I mainly want to speak about energy, and I've done it already. These are absolutely, cruel creatures. The female Titans the Israeli female Titans. Absolutely cruel and disgusting, and should be terminated. Now, some people can ask, so, I mean, it seems to us that the Israelis were, I mean, the main, like, problem during, like, I mean, up to the point during the 80s where, I mean, this nuclear drama occurred. But, I mean, following this, like, the result of this, the consequences of this nuclear drama, they only became much stronger. So, how does, I mean, why didn't the cherubs, like your own species, you say that they are so smart and, like, and have so much experience. So, why didn't they think about it that it's going to happen? That, I mean, because they knew that it's possible to generate, like, I mean, radioactive material from the red Neros. Of course they knew it. So why didn't they think that that's what's going to happen? That, I mean, the people that are the worst people are the ones that will actually gain the most and like the most power and money from the fruits of their crimes. Why didn't the cherubs think about it? Of course they thought about it. What kind of a question is it? Of course they thought about it. That was part of the punishment for humankind. This is the rule of Shilton Satan. It's one of the causes of mankind. Like I've had like series, like, I mean, of the causes of mankind that, I mean, that were, I mean, that were both things that are new and things that are kind of like reenactment things that my predecessor have done. And they have like artistic representation both in sculptures and mostly in series of 4 paintings that that are not the same but share the same kind of like motive. So it's like the asteroids, like the 5 stones, and there's like the closing of the gates. So and one of the curses was Shilton Satan, the rule of the devil. The rule of the devil. This is a punishment to Earth that was done during the 1980s. The translation is כל איש ואישה מהפלנטה הארץ ישלטו באדם מהפלנטה נוגה ימותו והוא יירש את כל רכושם. Every man and woman from the planet Earth that controlled a person from the planet Venus would die, and he or she, the Venusian, will inherit their property. And that's exactly what happened during the 1980s. And the name of the curse is the rule of the devil, the rule of Satan, Shilton Satan. That's exactly what happened in the 80s. Like almost all of them, like in Israel, died. And all the pedophile homosexual scumbags like in Shabbat Mossad, they died, and their wives, they inherited their money, but not only that, they also became, like, not all of them, but some of them became very prominent inside the intelligence community. And the rule of the devil is exactly the rule of the devil, and the Israel became like much stronger in the international scene. It's not that the Arabs didn't thought about it. That was part of the punishment for humankind. Israel did not want to punish the Israelis. The Arabs didn't want to punish the Israelis. They want Earth to change the way that they act, because during the 1980s they didn't listen to my predecessor, just like they do now. They didn't want to move arms and legs, just like they do now. They only moved their mouths and tongues, just like they do now. Just like they do now. They kept speaking while my predecessor was tortured, just like they do now. They kept moving their filthy mouths and tongues while innocent people were under torture, just like now. They did absolutely whatever they can, both in the KGB and the CIA, not to move any arm or a leg, just like they do now. So it was decided by the crowds to punish these assholes. And what better punishment is to make a ruler, or to put like a ruler on them, the disgusting creature that they did so much, to avoid hurting this kid, even though it was extremely easy, it's extremely easy during the 70s and the 80s to stop the many cruelties that the Israelis are doing, because they had no leverage at all during this time. It's a shit place. It was always a shitty place. They have nothing, but they didn't want to move an arm or a leg. So they were punished, and the world was punished by the rule of Satan. This is the situation right now. For several decades, the rule of Satan. You didn't want to move to hurt like these precious little Israelis. So now they will be the rulers. Now Satan will rule. And that's what you see in the last couple of decades. That was the plan. That was the plan. You didn't want to move arms and legs to rescue the people that required rescue from the clutches, from the nails of these disgusting creatures, the Israelis. So the Arabs made the Israelis ruler over all of you. That was the point. There are 4 kind of this. There is 4 oil, and this one is actually acrylic, heavy acrylic, like a sculpture, like a very high acrylic. There are 4 of these. All of that was, of course, painted more than a year ago. And most probably they were also painted in another, by my predecessor 40 years ago, but I have no idea where these artifacts are, where you can find them. I've never seen it. Probably never seen any of it. Well, maybe 1 or 2 that I suspect that it is actually, but mostly I didn't see anything that he ever created. But it's interesting to know what happened to it. Maybe it's all burned, but maybe it's kind of in the hands of private curators, or maybe it's kind of in like you see in the end of the movie, the Indiana Jones and the Temple of in the Raiders of the Last Ark. That is, maybe there is like a storage room, like a huge storage house, like hangar in Israel, where there was boxes with all sort of magical X-Files material, Arks of the Covenant, and the paintings of the predecessor or whatever. I don't know. So that's it for now, and I'll get back to doing my art. And let's hope there will not be many threats to my life today as there were in the last couple of days. So maybe I will be able to focus on the art as I want to.